You know that orcs, you know that 40K tournaments are the staple of the competitive scene. This last weekend, we had a change of pace with the Team America Championships taking place. We'll recap how orcs performed in this as a whole, how impactful they were in certain matchups and to their teams. And we'll also take a look at the solo single play and how does that compare to the team list. We'll look at what archetypes have come into play again, what are being repeated, what data sheets are becoming more prevalent between teams and singles, and if our thoughts, our theories, and our meta watching has been staying consistent up with the actual meta itself, right? So with that being said, David, shall we? Whoa! What's up, everybody? So we'll start off by taking a look at 40K stats as a whole. We always like to look at 40K stats. Are you gonna share, David, or should I just go through some of the stats as a whole? Okay. All right, guys. So between 500, this is between the 27th of July, and obviously this month just started. So orcs were at a 513 games played this last week and a half. That's definitely down. I think we were at 820 last week, so they're definitely down on that. As for our average VP, we're at 46 points, and our opposition is at 48.5. So actually, we've gone down and our average victory points, David, and that does reflect in our real win percentage. It's at about 45% now. Not bad. I mean, obviously we were okay with that as a healthy kind of to the most part, but it is dropping back. We want to be somewhere around 50, really, ideally, right? You know as well, David. Most people as well know that.
Yeah, and I would credit that to a large focus being on the team tournaments this weekend.
Okay,
and the meta being slightly different than what we're used to seeing.
Yep. People were kind of going in there willing to throw away their game against some of the hardest matchups sometimes, right? In teams, that's how it goes. But as a whole, because we didn't just look at the team events, we like to look at the meta as everyone, as our percentage, as our faction versus faction. A few matchups I wanted to look at that we did have a good amount of games into, meaning at least 40 plus games. Our Necrons, our percentage has now gone to 50%. So a bit of an improvement there. Necrons were kind of beating us in the face a little bit these last couple of weeks, so we brought that average down. Back up, excuse me. Space Marines at 68%, still putting the beating on the beakies. Tau, surprisingly, is at 60%. I actually thought we would be stuffing them, right? In my opinion, I know that they have a lot of movement and they can put a nasty firepower down and just straight volume, which is something that orcs hate, right? Just put a wound on us and we're upset about it. Because we had to take a lot of saves.
But, well, remember too, we had that one notorious cheating top.
Oh my god! Okay,
FLG, so he could have had an impact.
Okay, there. They're 60% now, and then T Suns moved up to 57%, and the real kicker here, CSM has gone down to 43.5% as our win rate. We had over 50 something games against them, guys, over 55 games. Last week we were sitting at like a 78% win rate against CSM. So I know if anybody's keeping track of the meta as a whole, you always hear people talk about, oh, Chaos Space Marines are so tough. They punch really hard with explosions. They have good synergies and with all their marks of demons. But yet no one brings them to their competitive scene and beats anybody up. Yet in the stats, our orcs numbers are actually showing that they're kind of messing with us a little bit right now. And for the most annoying beakies of them all, the golden ones, they're still sitting at about a 29% win rate into them. So that's not surprising. They're just hard matchup into everybody right now, especially fighting armies. You say something? Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's just a wrap, just a quick summary. 40K stats. I always like to go over that as a bit. Seems like we did bounce back on a couple of our bad matchups just a little bit, but some things stayed consistent. I know World Eaters, we didn't get enough numbers that I want to show their numbers directly, but World Eaters aren't looking like we're doing great into them either. But with that being said, we'll immediately jump into looking at some of how these. Let's look at directly some of these ATC team listed, right? And the first person we're going to be looking at is Johnny Griffin. With his list, right, guys? So with this, keep in mind what we're doing here, right? This isn't like we're ever trying to talk someone down or necessarily even care to talk them up. What we're looking at for is consistencies here, right? Pattern recognition between all the weeks that have been going on, what data sheets, what play styles, what archetypes are becoming the most prevalent, the most consistent, and what was actually brought to a teams compared to what people would bring to a singles event, right? What do I mean by archetype? So We have the Beast Snaga archetype, where people will bring almost specifically just Beast Snaga models, with a few Storm Boys trickled in there because Storm Boys are so great for scoring. Maybe a Weird Boy for scoring. That's what I would consider a Beast Snaga archetype. Then you have the MSU or Truck Boy spam, right? Where you take a bunch of trucks, 6 unit of maybe Bear Boys, you know what I mean? Where it's just straight up normal boys. You'll take some War Bikers, some Store Boys, 3x3 Squig Hog Boys, take a couple characters, and maybe one Scalpel unit like a Knob, right? Knob Scalpel unit, most likely. That's the second archetype of what I would call the truck spam. And then as for the third one is where we'll talk about maybe a Kill Tank or a Gargantuan Squig Off, which sometimes is also in tandem with the Beast Squig list. So those do cross, as in the mechanized / toughness list, do kind of cross a little bit, but you'll see Killicans as well in the mech archetype go along with the Killatanks, and you'll also see maybe Mega Tracks from Forge World, right? Which way they can do the mortal wounds, and you'll see more Mega Knobs in the. So the 3 orc archetypes are the Beast Naga, the MSU truck spam, and then more of a mechanized Mega Knob list, right? So we're gonna see which of those archetypes kind of makes their way to the top, and which of those data sheets, even if there is a cross between them, goes on. So keep that in mind. That's what we're actually looking for here. We're not really too focused on how amazing anybody is or anything like that. We're just looking at how do we want to start looking going forwards, right? And as for us guys, we have a little bit of experience in team events. We went to the first annual Las Vegas Teams event, so we have an idea, but we obviously didn't perform on this kind of terrain, right, David? So we had the frontline terrain where we went. So let's look at Johnny's list. Or did you want to take a look at chat before we get lost in the sauce? Because I get lost in the sauce, guys, once I start going. I get lost in the green energy, just start overtaking me.
Yeah. Cal 2931. What's going on? Have a great stream. I'm off to bed. It's 1:30 here in the UK.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. He'll catch the recap in the
Very
morning.
kind of you to appear. Very kind.
And Wappa Wop.
Wappa Wop.
Also with the whoa. 10 a.m. in Australia.
Oh yes, love the Aussies.
Good morning. Thanks for joining
good
us.
morning. That's really cool. Aussies.
Sandor Horniak. Another
Sandor.
Whoa.
All the walls, guys. Give me all the wall energy. Just start pumping and my veins just start exploding. All right.
That he feeds off this.
I
Keep
feed
it coming,
off it.
guys.
I feed it off it. I really do. My veins are coming out at the end.
Our Big Mac Brandon.
The Big Mac.
One of my teammates played with Team Plastic Crack Anonymous at ATC. Not orcs, but you might like his chaos list. His name is Phil Marcus.
Okay, hopefully we can run across him or even talk about him soon. And when we come about the meta as a whole, maybe next week we can look at this guy or guys like him as a whole, because Chaos Space Marines are, I think, slowly starting to pick up kind of like their own little tide in the warp over there. You know, not that we care that much, but they are starting to kind of, people are keep whispering about them like, hey man, why aren't they come to the forefront? It seems like people are trying to make moves with them, right? Always try to get ahead of the meta, right, guys? If you're trying to catch up to it, you're kind of behind. That's why we like to look at the meta, boom, every Wednesday, look at what's keeping pace, what's not, right? If you were looking back to what we used to have before, which this list actually, no offense to our friend here, right? What's his name? Johnny Griffin?
Yeah,
Johnny Griffin. Keep in mind, guys, at ATC, the cutoff for the rules was the 15th, I believe. And we had those changes from GW put in, I believe, the 21st. 26th? Okay.
Just
so we believe you could still put guys in a truck, right? Is that kind of what we're assuming here?
He might have done that a few matchups.
Yeah, so let's keep in mind, guys, we're going to just briefly go over him because I don't think this is going to be what's around anymore. But this is what used to be common maybe 3 weeks ago or so. And the other lists we're going to look at are actually more in line with what we've been talking about the last 2 weeks, right? Between our DACA video, between our what's being used videos, between our meta watches on what data sheets have been creeping up that people didn't care for before, like War Bikers, or maybe stuff that's less common, like Commandos now, even though people loved them in theory before, right? You will see right now, guys, that this is pretty showy. So, David, you want to just run through this real quick because it is a old meta list in my opinion.
Just one more chat. I didn't want to leave our boy Artemis Steve. He says, "Whoa, here, guys, ready for the wall."
Ready for the wall, guys. Let's get this wall energy going. That's tide going, guys. Stay with the meta. Keep it going. I think everybody's gonna like seeing Captain Badrock. All right, sorry, I might have leaked that a little bit.
He says, "Well, I finally got to play last weekend at a tournament I did down here south of the border. and I went 2-1.
Excellent. Excellent.
Great
Right when you get a great showing, dude. I'm really happy to hear that. A lot of guys in Discord have been showing up that they're doing pretty excellent and they're playing with a lot of theories we've been talking about. So hopefully we're performing on our end to give you some sort of value without directly instructing you on what exactly to do, because that's not our style. So thank you.
Covering the list.
Yes.
Beast Boss with Follow Me Lads. Gaz.
Hmm.
Mazrog.
Yep. So the big mounted squid characters, of course, guys, are always going to be excellent for the index.
3 units of Beast Snagga Boys.
Always a battle line of choice, as long as you have the points. And if you don't, you drop to a boy.
1 unit of boys for points. And then he's got 4 trucks to possibly
Okay.
carry all those units.
Okay, cool.
As well as a unit of Mega Nubs.
Yeah. Mega Gretchen. No, I was kidding.
Mega Nubs with twin kill saws.
Okay.
Then 3 units of minimum Squig Hog Boys.
Okay. That's how I like them for the most part sometimes, unless I can get a knob on there. Sorry.
2 units of Storm Boys.
Yep. Mandatory almost.
2 units of
Okay, so he went for 2. Like we said, guys, I'm pretty sure he was trying to put this in the oh, actually no, I'm not sure, because now that you said it, it's 6. And you can't put him in a truck. So he might have actually been foot slogging them, right? So I think we should actually give it a little peek, because there's a chance, that he actually did not. He could have outflanked it, but still, he didn't actually put this in the truck. I didn't notice that on accident for some reason. I thought it was a 5. All right. Yeah, so he went 6-0. So we'll look at right through here, and that's nice that Gaz made a showing again, actually. But this was more of an archetype that we seen from 3 weeks ago, regardless, nonetheless, right, guys? Or right, David? Is we had Gaz character as such. So this list, we'll give it a straight watch through, because this looked like might have been a little bit of a fun list. I know about guard, but not enough to understand if this was something serious, as this looks like a lot of this looks like a science only list. So David, you want to go through this?
Yeah, one thing I want to touch on actually.
Okay.
That's one thing that I learned when we went up to LVO is team tournaments can provide a lot of field bad. Some people go out there to have fun with their buddies. And some people would go there with the hardest.
Oh my God.
List. And,
Yeah.
I unfortunately was one of those latter people. I took Admech and I faced Night Lords. This guy was just trying to have fun, and the game ended after 1 shoot.
I think that's what kind of this looks like a little bit, right? Is no offense, still a win's a win. Win's a win. But this looks like he just kind of steamrolled Scions. So if you want to just go down real quick. Right now, guys, as always a guard, but I can tell you is one, the Lehman Russes aren't ideal anymore. That's why you'll see people just go straight into like a Bane Blade or some kind of Lord of War chassis if they can. The Rogel Dorn's kind of same place. The Ursula Creed is probably the best part of his list so far that I've seen. That looks like it's most meta. She's probably one of the best leaders on there. But as you can see, this list is just Scions, and then he topped it off with a bunch of Scout Sentinels. Scout Sentinels are excellent, but they're not going to win you the game against Orcs. So yeah, I'm going to just pass through this. This was obviously just one of those feel bad matchups. Get crumped. So let's move on to the next one real quick. But like we said, guys, as a whole, Johnny's list going into this was I'm going to bring Gaz. I'm going to walk him up the table, and we're going to do what we got to do the old-fashioned way. When I say old-fashioned, I mean from like a 3 weeks on, right? He did not bring flash gits, which you'll be seeing a lot of today. So right here, we have the Tyranids. So a little bit more, slightly more meta, maybe. Dave, you want to give it a quick read?
Yeah, he's got a Death Leaper and a Hive Tyrant as his characters.
Okay.
Then 2 units of Bargons. 3 units of Biovore.
Okay.
2 Exocrine, a Horospex, a Lictor, Maliceptor. 2 units of Neuragons. Unit Psychophage. Unit Tyrant Guard, Venom Throats, 2 units of Zoanthropes.
So that was almost it seems like it was someone who picked up a Leviathan box and then took a couple of good Tyrannid lists they already had left over and tried to fix them in the Leviathan box. So I'm not going to say this is a bad list or a great Tyrannid list. Like we said, when we're showing you these lists, guys, we're just trying to give you the context of what this person had to face up into. What you want to extrapolate from that, if it was amazing or not, is on you. My opinion is this was a solid list as it had the Maliceptor and a Harrowspecs, but it doesn't have double Harrowspecs. He did go 2 extra Creens instead, so it's a little bit more shooting. He does have all of the Biovores to do a secondary game. So this person was definitely trying to win, but in my opinion, between the Psychophage and maybe some of the those neurogaunts and stuff like that. I'm not sure if that was the most competitive way to go. I know the Death Leaper and the Licta are good ways to get up in the table and start up in the midfield for Tyranids, as they kind of want to stay together for the most part in these blobs, especially when you have the Maliceptor there. He gives an aura +/-1 to hit. So when you're trying to punch any of these monsters, you're -1 to hit, and he's great value between his shooting, his fighting, and his defensive capabilities. So this was a solid list. Wasn't ideal, but it was still a solid list. So still a great win from him. Let's look at his last matchup.
In round 3, Imperial Knights.
There we go. Let's get the Knights in.
This guy brought a Crusader.
Yeah, Gaz looked at this and was like, "Oh!" Started pumping up on his, on his claw and everything. Let's go. Sorry, I interrupted David again.
It's all good. Night Warden. I like the energy.
Mhm.
Then he's got 3 units of Helverns and 4 units of Warglaves.
Okay.
So very standard list here.
This is a standard list. Comes down to the mission to an extent, right? Comes down to deployments, how it's going, who went first. Knights, now that they can't just look through terrain, guys, orcs do have a bit better play. When it was like, I could just see through that building, shoot your staging unit preemptively, that was a big impact to us when the indexes first started. And as these weeks have kind of gone by, our matchup into Knights has gone up over time. Percentage has gone up and between Chaos and Imperial. So as long as like we said, the terrain rules are correct, as long as there's enough terrain on the table, and the missions are in play, orcs do play into them, and it seems like Johnny did. So great job, Johnny, again. Giving you context. You can see he's moving up a little bit, getting a little harder here, right? That Tyranid list was relevant. I don't know, we went more to more Tyranids. Okay.
Yeah. Tyranids again. Death Leaper, Hive Tyrant, Parasite of Mortrex, unit of Gargoyles.
Okay. It's good for scoring.
2 units of 10 Termagants and 3 units of 20.
Ooh, there he goes.
Board control.
Okay.
2 units of Barbgants.
3
Biovores. The Lictor, Neurogaunt, the Psychophage, 2 units of Raveners, Venomthropes, and 3 units of Zoanthropes.
Okay. Now here he's going up with some of this list. I would have liked to see, right? It's because I know a little bit about Tyranids too. The Psychophage, I'm not sold on. Don't love him. I think easily swap that and get some points, free points up for Haro specs on this list, and it would have got a dangerous, right? It looks like he didn't want to go into too many Biovores, and these Raveners, I don't think give you a great return on them, right? I'm looking at this, guys, on what were the weaknesses going into this that the orc player most likely took advantage of, right? Not having the Haro specs means what is he using to punch the orc players off him? What he's trying to do is shoot them and slow them down with all these Barbgants, and he's trying to put all these screens in play. But considering how many just straight up attacks orcs get, right? Even the 3-man unit of Squighog boys smash a small unit of Tyranids. So great job on this. I can see this guy looked like he teched a little too high into just trying to score on board, and the orcs just was like, dude, I get exploding 6s, I'll beat the crap out of you. So great job. Love it. Just grump them bugs. I like that, right? And the little nasties. Little squishies.
Round 5, Ultramarines.
So he's getting thick here, guys, because those were good. And right, I'm not talking down any of these wins, mind you guys. Keep that in mind. Don't ever think that. I'm saying that was what possible weaknesses I would assume though he took advantage of, as that's what I would take advantage of. Okay, now he's getting into the blue gits, blue beakies.
We got Kalgar, Librarian, 2 Tech Marines, Gilliman's on this list.
Oh, both Kalgar and Gilliman. Feeling expensive. Hero Hammer.
Very expensive. Unit of 3 Blade Guard. Desolation Squad.
Decimation
10 man. Even though they went up in points, people are still taking them.
No, yeah, they didn't even care. They didn't even care. I like that. Some people were like, oh, I can't do it. And I'm like, never mind.
Right.
Plug them
in. Gladiator Lancer, 2 Gladiator Reapers, and a Redemptor Dreadnought.
Oh, wow. This guy is just, I want to gunline you.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just, I want to gunline you. Let's go up a little bit again. And if you can zoom in more to the list, I think that would help everybody a lot. I don't know if they wrote that yet, my bad. But yeah. Okay. I mean, what do you think, actually? I mean, you know a little bit more on Marines. It looks like you have almost virtually no board control. I mean, you have no board control here. You're hoping that it looks like he hoped for death balls. So I bet he looked at guys like, can't wait to shoot you. And then from there, I mean, he was just not getting a return for these kind of shooting platforms into orcs.
He's only got a 3-man Blade Guard unit. That's not enough punch
for anything orc related. I mean, even if the 10-man unit of orc boys run up, they might survive on a wall, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I can see how he.
I mean, he had to play technically, right? Because he can't throw stuff away. As whatever they're seeing, they're reliably just destroying it, and then Gilliman can cause them to oath again, so they can just reliably pick up 2 units a turn. That's definitely what he was going for. So
And, this
great.
was player plays, correct?
No, I don't believe no.
Okay, never mind.
Mhm. So yeah.
Right, we can look at that later.
Oh yeah, and keep going with this. I thought you were
Right.
gonna bring up this next one.
Oh yeah, next list. Oh, so same one. In the last round, he faced Ultramarines again. This time with a Primaris Apothecary.
Oh yeah, it was player place. My bad. I don't know. I
Player
said
place?
no.
Okay, so
Right.
player place. I
Wait,
was gonna
real
say
terrain on the selected on the mission pack.
player place terrain can be.
Sorry, I was looking at a wait. Am I? Oh no, it was on here. That's what I thought. I did look at it. They had they had terrain layouts. Nope, they had the layouts. My bad. We were talking about something else, guys. That's why he got confused. But no, they had their layouts. I had looked up into it to make sure when I looked up the rules. I was like, no, they had terrain layouts, which I think is a big deal, guys. They help a lot when you know the layouts. The other ones we went to, like for WTC type events, they put the terrain up as well. And I like that because when you're going and making your list, you kind of know what lanes can I move into and such. I'm not a fan of player place terrain, me personally. In our meta, though, we do have a lot of them. That's why David's like paying attention. And in Las Vegas, they did that as well. So I can see why he was kind of, I told him to kind of look into what we did before. So he was looking at that.
Yeah, so just looking at this terrain setup with their previous list, the gun lanes are kind of tight, so you can see why that list struggled. But yeah, again, Ultramarines in the last round with an Apothecary, Gilliman, Desolation Squad. That's why people are taking them. 3 Lancers, 2 Inceptor squads with bolters, or 3 Inceptor squads, 2 Infiltrators, the Storm Speeder Hailstrike, and Calidus Assassin.
Okay, he brought on the assassin. Oh, little jerk. Little jerk. All right, you want to go up a little more again? Sorry. I know those Inceptor squads guys are getting great value for the Marine players right now. I'm a fan that he brought 3. I wouldn't like to see that if I was going against them too much. You know, there's extra thickness, being Gravis armor now, being able to get close into in your backfield. You can't just leave Grots back there. But as you'll see as you look at more of these lists, Grots aren't as popular as they were. Now they're not T5 in combat. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding about that part. So yeah, that was holding me up. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. So this is just another Space Marine list. Ultramarines are getting a good showing as a whole in the meta, guys. If it's not some kind of like Blood Angel, Space Wolves kind of player, then they're most likely going for Space Marine, Ultramarine rules, right? They're going for those characters to give them the additional buffs so they can throttle the way they want to throttle. Oh, did you bring his listing up or?
Oh, that was all the rounds.
Yeah. So we just wanted to give you quick context, guys, on what he went into. He went into gun lines. He went into a nice little horde between the Tyranids. He went into a couple of mini Tyranid monster lists. So he did a good job. He really did do good. As for teams, what was his? If we can look at a score real quick, because in this ATC scoring, guys, this is something I haven't experienced where they give you the 20 points, right? It's a 20-point setup. Each player essentially, you know, you have 10 and you work towards to get more in your favor. And the greater the deficit of the win, the greater of the win is for your team and how much impact it gives overall. So I'm not used to it. And of course, it gives me a bias that I'm not a fan of it. That being said, he had some very close games. So I'm very happy that he won those because I know those are the most rewarding games, right, guys? Sometimes if you're out there, I know you feel that way where if you have a really close game and you pulled out, you're like, yes, excellent. So great job, Johnny. And let's look at the next list. So keep in mind, he had Gaz, Mega Knobs, 2 of the Beast Bosses, the Beast Bosses and the Beast Boss and Squigosaur, and then Mazrog. And then he had, what was his last one before? His last character? Was I missing?
It was the Weird Boy.
You should just pull the list. That and he brought the 3-3-man units of Squig Boys. That's what it was. It was a Beast Boss on foot, and he gave him Follow Me Lads. That was his little different. And he brought Mazrog's Scrag Bag. So he just pulled back on how many of those characters he had. Sorry, I was thinking about what we're talking about next. He came in with what 3 weeks ago was most popular being used. People were going to Beast Boss, going to Gaz, going to Mazrog. Then he brought some Beast Boys, 3-man units of Beast on foot, Mega Knobs, boom. That's still relevant. You guys can definitely still play that way. When I say it's the old is because people are kind of moving away from Gaz ever since they assume he can't go in a truck anymore. But he showed you can still do it, at least on a team setting, right? And he knew the terrain, obviously, too, which I think that helps a lot, right? To know the terrain, know if you can bring Gaz. You can look through every mission setup and go, hey, can I move from here to here with Gaz, most likely? So Great job. That was actually very smart of him. So yeah, go ahead and read chat, please, because we'll start getting lost in the sauce if we do.
All right. Gatsu in the chat says, Gaz breaks my heart. Is it even worth running him anymore? Isn't he too slow?
Considering that he's in, okay, I understand why you feel that way. Before I answer that question in my opinion, what we'll see between all the metadata and everything is as such is Gaz is still appearing on lists when trucks were allowed. Now, at least between these teams and the GT list that we looked at, he is not being put on the list anymore. I'm not necessarily sure if that's because he's bad, though, you guys. That might be just because people decided Flash Gits and Captain Badrook are more worth it. So let's pull up the next list anyways as we read these lists, because I think the next list will be very interesting as we talk about these, as we read these chats too.
All right.
We can have a list open.
Yeah, it is open.
So yeah, and for Gaz, is he worth bringing? That's a meta thing. What you're going against. I know his aura of lethals. It's nice when Makari calls the WAAAGH. Having his strength 4 for a lot of people really matters a lot. And being just kind of tanky durable on top of the other tanky durable units. If you start putting out more of those beast and squig units people like to incorporate him into, we'll see if that sticks though. I'm under the saying that people are going to move more towards a bit more adding shooting into their orc list. That's where I'm moving to, and that's what we're going to see now moving on to these next lists actually. So yeah, if we more chats than that, or sorry, because I interrupted.
Joshua Rivera, you guys get me hyped.
Whoa! Sorry, got me hyped. Sorry.
And James Hugh, what are your thoughts on 20 boy blobs plus weird boy plus war boss?
So 20 boy blobs with that. Not that I'm going to swap it on you, but someone recently in my Discord brought to my attention the boys plus the knob with wall banner, which I think right now in the stream I want to say you guys want to chew on that for a little bit. Think about that. Knob with wall banner. Follow me, lads. Here we go. Call a wall for the wall banner turn 1. Minimum 21-inch threat range on there with the turn 1 charge from the boys, 20-man boys unit. So it's not that I'm not answering your question. I just wanted to throw that out there because you just reminded me. So thank you for the comment. As for what do I think happens with that, right?
It's a lot of models
It's a lot of models, and people now knowing that they want to Overwatch, and some armies wanting to Overwatch twice, even though I don't think that's how it's supposed to be played.
It's not. It says once per turn.
Yeah, it's hard to say that that's exactly what you want to do with it. But I'm not saying 20-man boys don't have a place, because they do. As for what they do, I would say maybe bring 2 of those blobs actually, because redundancy always matters in my opinion. Do they both have to have the war boss? Maybe not. But do they have play? Yes, because the fact that you can teleport that and stage that somewhere will bother people. As for will have play into all matchups, no. You might have a feel bad matchup here and there, but it does definitely have play. We have seen it before in top event tournaments, but like I said, they actually went for redundancy. It wasn't just one. So you might want to consider running actually 2 of those bricks. That way you can actually continue pressure. That threat saturation is really nice, right? There's always the old 40K rules. 1 is none, 2 is some, and 3 is there, right? I'm not saying run by that rule all the time, guys, but if you ever have an idea, just keep it in the back of your head to run it through that pattern. Does it make sense to run more?
And I think part of it depends on your intention with that unit.
Yeah.
Is your intention early pressure, late game pressure, which, like Eddie said, the knob with war banner does give you that option. Or is it to reposition yourself if you're out of position? Then the weird boy would possibly be the better option just because of the teleporting.
Mm-hmm. I know some people say he wants to precision with that, and I just don't think it's worth it. I'm not going to just talk bad to anybody. I'm just saying I think it's just kind of a risky. It's more of like a hopefully that does happen rather than this is my strategy for this to happen, right? So thank you for the comment.
All right. Wappa wop.
Wappa wop.
Sorry, I like saying that.
Me too, obviously.
It says, crumping crawdads, tyrannids, eating good tonight. Yeah. Love calling the nids crawdads now.
I actually really like that. I really like that. He's gonna be eating good. It's true. I feel like orcs would try to eat tyrannids as much as they could. At least the ones that didn't have too much poison.
All right. This is someone that I believe is new. Schmuckalo.
Oh, I'm glad you're reading the names. I would struggle here. I'd struggle.
He's busting out the 120 Beast Snagger boys, 70 boys, 1 Beast Boss, and a truck against his buddy.
what's happening? Ooh. He just said all the boys. Is this what
Yeah.
just happened?
And it's against his buddy who has been complaining about the snag of spam.
Oh,
Give him a taste of his own
so
medicine.
you said, you know what? And you know what? I'm gonna just spam you some boys then. No, dude, that can actually work. So if are you asking for feedback, or is he just telling me what's going on here? He
Just made a comment, yeah. Just statement.
Okay.
Just busting out.
One thing we've seen, if you're gonna run that many just standard naked boys, you might want to throw in some weird boys in there, just for the ability to kind of move around the field, my friend, to just kind of get going. As they don't have the innate durability to just be walking around. And I don't think the battle wagon's worth it necessarily for them. Kind of here or there. But point is, you might want to consider a weird boy and a couple of those 20-man bricks if you're choosing to go 20-man bricks, of course. But yeah, that's awesome, dude. You're a green skin after me own hall. Whoa.
And Vibe Merc, who's that cat?
Who's
I'm
the
not
kid?
Sure if that's
Yeah,
Athena in the background.
my
or
cat.
You're just
Yeah. Yes.
calling the player we were covering.
That's cat. No, the player we were covering is that guy, Johnny. But
Johnny Griffith.
my cat, yeah, I have a cat. Her name's Athena, and she's a very, very vocal cat, but a well-behaved cat.
Yeah, she's really cool. Then last comment, Mark Bruce. It's WAAAGH Day Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And we are caught up.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for the comments, guys. Sorry if I rant sometimes. David has to pull me back in. All right.
And the next player we're covering is Brad Chester.
Okay, if you are familiar with Art of War, you're familiar with Brad Chester. We had the honor and the privilege and the hilarious moments of meeting Brad Chester and spending the day before LVO with him and Nick Matavari. He was a really nice guy. So obviously, I'm obviously gonna be a little biased here is what I'm trying to say, that I'm going to try to give him more credit than I should. But either way, shout out to Brad.
Yeah, so he's running the Beast Boss on foot.
Okay, so
Beast Boss on Squigosaur.
Beast Boss on Squigosaur. And as we've seen, guys, Captain Badrook making his appearance. We made that DACA video. Boom. We're making sense here, guys. Let's keep it going.
He's got a mech, Mazrog,
Mm-hmm.
a knob on Smash a Squig with
the
Head Wappa's Kill Chopper.
All right, I really like this. I like that combo. I know obviously it's all subjective. Some people like it on the Beast Boss. I like it on him as just a direct tool for a direct problem.
And then he's running 2 units of 10 Beast Snagga Boys, 3 trucks, and there we go. The unit of Flash Gits, 10 man.
Yeah, with the gits. Oh, Shock Jump Jackson. Did he make a shout out in our DACA video? I think I did. The Shock Jump Jackson got a shout out. Shout out for its
Honorable
utility. Maybe Brad was like, hey, I gave him +1 to hit to bother people. Like I said, I don't know.
Right.
Hopefully, but that's hilarious.
So the Gretchen,
Mhm.
and then 2 units of 3 Squig Hog Boys
This-
and a 6-man.
This is actually how I've been running my Big Hog Boys for the most part, guys. I like 1 big unit with the sergeant. If I don't find the points to fit 2 more 3-man units, I'll sometimes put a 1 3-man unit and then the sergeant in there. Okay, but I actually do like it. This is my more updated version of how, if I'm running Swig Hogs, I like them. I like 1 big unit and then a couple small units.
And then rounding out with 2
Two.
units of Storm Boys
And then
and
1 Warbike.
Warbiker.
I feel like that's just like a staple, like almost every orc list I end up writing, or some competitive ones we end up seeing. I swear they always end up with like 2 Storm Boys and a Warbiker unit.
Yes.
And a part of
very
me
common.
thinks, I know when I write my list, sometimes it's like, I have 10 points left over. Let me just upgrade these Storm Boys. I know I'm not the only one. But that just seems like it always happens, right? Because I think, 2 Storm Boy units is excellent. I end up not taking 3. I know I have some disputes in there with some of my Discord homies and gets. Is a shout out to Big Mac Brandon. But yeah, I like running 2 Storm Boy units and then 1 more biker. So actually, me and Brad are very close into what I like about this. This is the kind of list I would kind of run. I don't know about the Shotgun Dragster. I give him a shout out, but he doesn't make it on my list. Just saying, usually, right? You bring him for his I think Brad really did bring him to bother people and be like, I'm my precision you. He's kind of that kind of guy. So yeah, the Flash Gits, like we've been talking about, guys, when we put the DACA video, we've actually seen, if you go back even to Meta Wednesdays, we were talking about how this is slowly creeping in. I remember one guy kind of put it on, then we started doing the math behind it. We started kind of thinking on the table into certain matchups.
And getting some games in too, and just realizing how the 10th edition is different from 9th. Fighting isn't the way or the sole way to win games.
Mm-hmm. You need to kind of incorporate that shooting, guys, to just deal with what everybody's trying to do and what they're willing to do. So yeah, I like it. And that 1 turn of throttling and shooting and then punching really matters. Kind of makes it for our fact that we can't punch as hard as we want, and all these weird fight first abilities and stuff like that the orcs don't really love, right? So let's look at some of those matchups real quick before we say it.
All right, round 1, he faced off against Necron.
Catan spam.
Catan spam.
Right away, Brad dealing with this.
He
That's
brought
interesting. That's
every
excellent.
Catan.
Okay, this guy's.
Got the Deceiver,
This is
the
a-
Nightbringer.
This
the
guy was
Void
not trying to make
Dragon,
friends this day. And on this
Transcendent.
day, all the Catan shards broke loose.
Got the Hexmark Destroyer, which can be almost as annoying as a Catan, just not as doesn't have the damage output.
Mhm.
Doomstalker, Reanimator, Crypto Thralls, 2 units of Death Marks, 2 Doomsday Arcs, a unit of Heavy Destroyer, 2 unit single man Heavy Destroyers, and surprisingly no Warriors.
I mean,
Well, I guess
no
you don't have
Lich
points for
Guard.
that.
Did he put Lich? No Lich Guard.
No Lich Guard either.
Yeah, no. This guy did not care about what the meta was. He was going like, guys, what we said for a team list. We already know that we talk about in Discord. People are like, I'll go for a skew. I don't care. What is this? Right? I mean, wow. But if you look at Brad's list, guys, that is very atypical of a orc singles list, right? Keep in mind what Brad's list was, right? 3 units, Squig Hog Boys, Flash Kids, Captain Bad Rugs, 3 trucks, some boys, some Mazrog, and a Beast Boss on Squigosaur, and a Beast Boss. That's like what everybody's bringing in when you're playing orcs is like a bare minimum almost if you're not playing into like some sort of direct archetype. This is just like a straight up what people are bringing a lot of these data sheets. This is not like a hard skew. Brad didn't go into a hard skew, but how did he perform against his Necron skew? Looks like he 20-0'd it.
20-0, yep.
Okay, then that's why, guys, right? Orcs, like I was giving an example of when I was talking overall with my friends in Discord and my cousin Christian, is do we really always want in orcs and singles? I'd say go ahead and go for a skew. When for a team setup, as for when I'm thinking I'm the orc player going to a team, I can ideally face up into a lot of kind of A-tier armies, regardless if it's this edition, last edition, where I can give you a hard time with your points or possibly beat you if you skew too hard in any direction by doing what orcs do best, which is playing the primary, the secondary, board control, right? Doesn't ever since I've been starting, which has only been 8th edition, since 8th edition, that's how orcs play. Even in the silly, I just want to kill you 8th edition meta that there was kind of for a little bit, if you could still take over the board and do stuff, you could still win like that. And that's how orcs, that's how GW perceives us, right? And that's how we must go forward in this game. And that's why what the archetype is as a whole is looking very similar between teams and singles for some of the top performing orc team players, right?
Right.
And-
And that's a strength. I'm a little surprised
Mhm.
we didn't see more orc players, but then again, with how the meta is, yeah, everyone's spamming the S tier armies if they have them.
And I think like we've seen a lot with Grey Knights, they almost perform like a similar role where it's like they're not going to directly beat up a meta army, but you're going to kind of bother them. So let's see what else he kind of went into, right?
In the second round, he faced the Thousand Suns.
Mm-hmm.
There's your typical list with Armin, Magnus, few sorcerers, sorcerer and Terminator armor, 2, 3 10-man flamer rubrics, the Mutilate Vortex Beast for some out of line of sight smites, 10-man Terminator unit, and then a lot of people are bringing the flamers for some
Make
utility.
sure you zoom in
and
too so that they can,
speed.
because I can't see on your thing. Sorry. All right, cool.
And the changeling.
And what does Changeley do? My bad. I'm not really sure. Just more shooting? You're not top of your head? Oh, okay. Too much?
Special.
This looks like a very typical. How many Terminators did he bring? Sorry.
110-man.
Yeah, this is like, is this just like the
Yeah,
standard
typical-
T-Suns list right now?
Yeah.
Seems like as they're getting figured out, orcs players are kind of figuring them out too. As you've seen in the math, we've been going better. I mean, the 40k stats we went over. Oh, and they brought the Vortex Beast.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
also a staple too.
It's a hard game for orcs typically, guys. Right? It can go either way. But I think as orc players are learning more and more what these T-Suns are doing, since they don't really have a lot of variability in what they're doing, and of course, mission always matters, right? Mission train always matters, but we have pretty good play into T-Suns, I would think, relative to how strong they are against everybody else, right? We actually do quite well, which ended up showing because Brad ended up winning this game 19
points. Yep.
Mhm. Solid, great win by Brad, guys. So as you see, this is that list that he showed could be ran in singles. I would say that would fall under a Beast Naga archetype, and he did great. So more of the updated Beast Naga archetype as it has shooting, which is what we've seen in more of the updated Beast Naga list. They do involve some shooting compared to just spamming out as much punchy as you can.
All right, and round 3, Death Watch.
Death Watch. Okay, let's
running
see.
the Primaris
This
captain.
was kind of one of the lists that people brought as a maybe I do good into S tier armies.
Yes.
All right. So this is interesting because orcs are kind of running along the same line there, right? With the Grey Knights, the Death Watch, those all armies are brought like, hey, I might not be the most meta or the most competitive, but I can really crash into some of these top S tier armies and probably beat them up. And it looks like orcs came out on top on this one.
Right. We got your
Mhm.
Desolation Squad, staple on all Space Marine lists. 3 units of 3 Eradicators.
Very little
3
range.
units of Infiltrators.
Those. Okay.
2 Protoss kill teams.
I mean,
Kitted out the
I'm
same
not seeing anything scary.
with 5 veterans, a biker, a Terminator, 3 Terminators,
Mhm.
4 Terminators. Then Stern Guard veteran squad and a Calidus assassin.
Yeah. Okay. So that was he went for the Death Watch meta. I'm not going to pretend I know super exquisitely anymore what they do anymore. That the Proteus kill teams, as you can see, what their unit type typically is kind of like what the support kind of role that unit's trying to go for. As you see, they're expensive big bricks, and as Brad already did it to the Catan list, being expensive and not having a bunch of units doesn't necessarily help you win against orcs, because we still do retain enough punches and punching capability to kill certain units, or at least and win skirmishes, right? We can directly kill their most hard-hitting kind of brick units, or we can chip them down, which is why people would want flash kits or something like that. And then everything else, we win all the skirmishes, right? These 5-man units of Marines or anything like that. Orcs are like, whatever, I punch you around. Don't let me get towards those desolations, right? So what are you going to use them? You only got those 10 guys, and I got a bunch of trucks, So
Right.
and a bunch of characters, because for the most part, those beast characters are like, I need your anti-tank. And if you're bringing the Eradicators, right, the player is hoping he rolls good enough, and it's just not great numbers into our beast boss characters on mounts. So yeah, Brad just kind of took over the board, I'm assuming, and stat checked this guy and ran him over at some,
scored 15
won the
points.
skirmishes.
Solid win.
Probably played just KG enough to not get countercharged by those Proteus kill teams, because they do contain a lot of Terminators and OC.
All right, round 4. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We're on round 5.
Round 5.
Thousand Suns again.
Again. So as you can see, this is kind of
Same
what
thing.
I could see. This is what their team kind of wanted them to pick. They go, hey, I bet you could beat the T-Suns. And they were probably putting Brad directly into them. The T-Sun player, not knowing how orcs can actually do so well into them, was taking this one probably with a little bit of confidence, and ended up getting Brad's still a good player too. Remember, he's an excellent player when it comes to movement. And to be a great orc player, you have to be controlling your rate of attrition with revolves around movement. Looks
Right,
like,
and
is
so-
this like the same exact list?
Almost. There's just a few.
Okay,
slight
my bad. I was like,
variations,
wait,
but
is this
the
okay? No
utility picks a
flamers.
little different.
Okay,
Screening units.
Maybe a little worse. No, I mean,
Yeah, I'd say
no
worse.
offense, but yeah,
But, I mean, you got to play with what you got.
he did slightly better on points, but he took
Yeah.
a L2 to Brad.
Right.
So yeah, this is the whole point of the teams, right, guys? So we can just move on right away to what is last matchup?
Final round.
Quentin Johnson.
Quentin Johnson from Art of
Whoa.
War. So Brad Chester's team made it all the way to the top table in the last round.
Let's go. And Quentin Johnson was playing
And
Eldari.
Yes, he
Mhm.
did. Eldari.
There he is, the Eldari.
Yeah.
When it comes to casual play, orcs still do pretty decent into Eldar, but when it comes to the top meta tables, Eldar is still kind of bullying around everybody. So no shame on Brad. Just give it a quick look through.
Sure.
The young Karn is something new that's been coming up into the Eldar's list as
Yes.
well. Being able to put pressure where they've killed you, it's kind of like, oh my god, right? Stacking. So really,
with
annoying.
the nerf to the Wraith Knights, you got some more points to be spending on your Karn.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened, right? Well, Wraith Knights, maybe. Let's see, did he bring one still at least, or none?
Usually there's at least one. Let's see.
War Walkers,
one
Vipers.
Wraith
Okay,
Knight.
yeah. So now there's one, like you said. Usually
Before it
people
used to
drop
be
the
like
second.
2 at
Yeah.
least.
So drop that one, drop the Neon Karn. Your Karn teleports over there where someone might have killed something to have a kind of pressure between the pressure of the young Karn, the board control with the speed, at least the ability to maneuver the board with the speed of the more quick, small skirmishing units of the Eldar. It could just be annoying because then they're kind of picking engagements to a certain extent, and orcs hate that. Like we'd like to talk about a lot of times as an orc player, you want to pick the engagements when you can initiate, control the rate, and then dictate, right? And that's how orcs really, really got to play. And Eldar, like that, kind of mess you up. They'll shoot you hard enough. That big knight's going to take over the table and be annoying, trying to deal with him and not gun line. And then all of a sudden they chip you and then she teleports over there. I can see how he ended up dropping that. It's okay.
Yeah, it was still a close game.
Yeah, he still did great.
2 points, and he could have won it.
And that just shows how good orcs can be, even with running that kind of list. I mean, guys, come on. We've seen lists very similar to what Brad showed. Let's show us this one more time. What Brad put on this list is very typical to what people are kind of running, right? Move it again, right?
Yep.
There we go. Yeah. And even when we talked out in our DACA video, guys, the mech, to give them the +1 in the vehicle, most likely. Because, like I said, shoot, get your points utility out of them while they're in the vehicle. Then you throttle when they get out, get the re-rolls, pop the ammo grunt. Boom. You're getting the direct points return and trade on them at that point, right? And, dude, guys, the flash kits are knobs, if people forget. Strength 5, 4 base attacks, -1 AP. Captain Badrock with the 6-inch aura, -1 toughness. Come on. I mean, I'm a fan of the knobs scalpel unit, but I can see why this unit is slowly creeping up to being a little bit more prevalent. So
Yeah,
no hate on that. They're still knobs, so I still take that win. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so let's move to the next player that we want to talk about, which was one of my favorite thick boys,
Mark Perry.
Mark Perry. Obviously, on my bias, he comes in a little here because I want to grapple Mark Perry. I want to wrestle his thick self. So yeah, that's just my bias. Like, you thought I was gonna say something more intellectual, guys? No, guys. I just want to grapple him. So
and he's been very consistent with that.
Yeah,
ever since we first saw him.
Yeah, and when I seen
Eddie
Jack
talked
Harpster in person too, I was like, Jack, Mark Perry is what I want. Jack is too nice. So let's go here. What is this? What's this list? I got all excited. Well, we'll know once we kind of scroll. Yeah, this looks like
we're
this
gonna
is
find out real quick.
You can find out real quick. Level 3 megs.
This is
Okay, guys, we're showing you this list not because I'll just say it right now. This isn't a list that I want you to take too seriously because Mark Perry is out there. This is to show you that you can run a little bit of what's meta and then a little bit of what's not meta and just hope you do your best, right? Because what we talk about on this channel, guys, we're not directly telling you how to play, what you want to play. We want you to use what you have and what you enjoy. Give us the feedback and watch how the meta unravels and rolls, right? Because some people are like, I just want to run flash kits. But then people were like, well, according to the math between cover and armor of contempt, between the point ratio to killed, you cannot utilize them to our deficiency. And now we've realized that we were wrong because even I was kind of like that because I'm not making fun of anybody. That was kind of me because I was like, man, -1 AP and you're hitting on, I don't know, man. So I'm not sitting here acting like I was ahead of the game. I'm saying that's why all of this is important to get your feedback, play what you want, because you could end up being ahead of the meta and not even realize it just because you're someone who likes to play with what you like. And that's why we all come here and we all get together like a proper wall and we conglomerate our ideas and our energies, right? But sadly for Mark Perry, this wasn't the optimal list, and we'll see right here. So let's keep going.
Yeah, so he's got a Beast Boss on Squigosaur with Head Wappa's Kill Chopper.
Pick your poison.
Captain Badrock.
Yep. 3 mechs. Okay. I do like the custom Mega Slugger, guys. That's fun, but no.
Mazrog.
Okay. Warboss on bike. Hey, shout out to Warboss on bike. Yeah.
Favorite enhancement.
That's
Super
my
cyborg body.
That's my personal preferred enhancement on that unit, guys. We can argue about it, but just saying he's gonna die anyways. Might as well make him overcommit. Now, this is the part that where I see a lot of people are like, what? I know you're out there. Where are you? Speed Wars. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, he brought Death Copters, guys. He really did it. He really said, I don't care what any of you guys say, I'm bringing them. I'd love if he told me how this actually went. But let's get a shout out. Do you guys think that he used the mech to +1 to like multiple of these Death Copters and then threw them out there? So let's keep going.
Yeah, we'll see the rest of the list. So you tell us.
Yeah, because I'm like, what the heck? Flash kits, obviously.
At least he brought the flash kits.
We know, Chuck probably.
Gretchen.
Okay, only one. We've seen less Gretchen, guys, than usual. Now, the 3 Rocket Truck Squad buggies, we talked about that on more DACA video. Not surprising, though, right? It's not like super anybody's getting that surprised. We knew going in by looking at the index that this was the most utilized buggy, most likely, even with 110 points. I'd love to see it if it went back to like 10 points, but yeah, 110 points. Excellent. But like we said, is he giving these +1 to hit? I mean, and just like, I'll shoot at anything with them?
I guess so.
I guess.
These are perfect for infantry, so I don't know.
I guess, yeah. Okay, and then what else?
Shock jump dragster.
No, that's what he did. Never mind. Forget that. He was precisioning people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I just like to say that. He could.
He's
but,
a crazy genius.
He's a crazy genius like that. He might have. He definitely tried one game and then it didn't work out.
Yeah. Unfortunately for crazy geniuses, you can't always strike.
Yeah. My 3 Squid Hog boys. And then how many bikers did he bring?
And then he brought
just one
biker.
Okay. So no Storm Boys either, right? You can see Mark try to be a little out of the box here. And for that, how do you end up doing, David?
So he went 2 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses.
Okay. So, I mean, to each their own, right? When he did lose, he really lost. As you can see by the points, guys, he took a hard L. So we'll do a quick run over on this list and just see like what did he actually have a little bit of play into. Not take like just giving you guys kind of a look and when can Death Captives hopefully play. All right. So
All right. So first round faced Astra Militarum.
Okay. So we have
no characters. Oh wait,
no, those
sorry.
are command squads.
Yeah, yeah. Canadian Command Squad. Lord Solar.
Leontis.
Unit 2.
Canadian
3,
Shock.
4 Canadian Shock
Did
troops.
I say Canadian? I think I did Canadian.
I
Sorry, Canadian. All right.
Armored Sentinels. A Basilisk.
Okay, going for the indirect.
3 Basilisks.
Okay.
Oh, a
Okay.
unit of Bulgrin.
Mr. Bulgrin. I used to like saying that all the time because I have a science army. Shout out to science. Lehman Russ. Okay, so
2 Lehman Rush
yeah.
Demolishers. Scout Sentinels.
if you're gonna bring a tank, the Demolisher is the best. The Scout Sentinel is there to hopefully give a buff to indirect.
Yeah.
So if Marpere was able to take this out very quickly, maybe with a Coptus, maybe they pay him to play there. Coptus could have done some work there between the Bulgrin, with the shooting and maybe taking out a couple Sentinels. Bothering with the indirect, maybe having enough speed and the ability to fly to actually get to him. So shout out, that was pretty cool.
He ran over this.
So he beat guard
20
up
points.
20 points. Bam. That's how you know. So if you win against guard, bring the Dev Coptus. No, I'm just kidding.
But in the second round, he got ran over.
Is this did he?
Huh?
Did he lost the second round?
Yes, he scored 0 points.
That's
Oh,
Mark.
sorry.
Uh-huh.
Wrong
Yeah.
mark.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
18 points.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
He won against Tyranids.
He won this one too.
Nero Tyrant.
Okay.
2 Barbgons. 2 Biovores.
Okay.
2 Exocrines. Let me zoom in. Horospecs.
Ooh, double Malice.
Double
I
Maliceptor.
don't know if you need
Double Moloch.
two. Okay. I'm not a super fan. Cyclophage.
Psychophage, Venomthropes, and 3 units
Okay.
of Zoanthropes.
He was serious with them Zonanthropes units.
Yes.
He even brought some big ones. A little bit too much in my opinion. I don't like that many on my list as they do get killed by the clapback. So Flash Gits, I mean, you show them Zoanthropes, you're like, haha. Flash Gits will annihilate a Zoanthrope unit. So yeah, I can see how that could be a thing. Double Maliceptors, I don't know if you need 2. This overall though, this is a threatening list. Depending on the mission and everything, the weakness I would think if the player would have dropped the Maliceptor and added the Tyrant, like a Hive Tyrant on foot, that wouldn't matter a lot. I could assume he suffered for not having that, to be honest. Not that I'm a know-it-all, but I'm assuming that's where he suffered. But Mark Perry did great because this is a actual relatively decent list. Not maybe GT level great amazing list, but that's a good playable winning Tyranid list. So hey, he made it work, guys, with all those buggies and Death Copters. He was shooting up those small units with his buggies. He erased those Barbgons, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Bye. So great job. What was the next matchup?
Quentin Johnson. And we
Mhm.
covered he was playing Aldari. So we can see why Mark only scored 3
All right.
points.
So let's see how. No, I'm just kidding. No, we know how it did. Sorry. All right, let's move on.
The next round.
We do have chats
Against
because
Gene
my bad.
Stealer
We've been going on
Colts.
for a second. Do we have any chats or?
Yeah, we got some.
Sorry, I've been ranting and looking at them lists and zooming a little.
Brandon says Chester's team beat Team PCA, which is his buddy's team.
Oh, okay.
And I forgot what he was referencing there, so I'll skip it.
Uh-huh.
That guy's just Michael Pendergast brings up that Gaz does have breachable, which makes him a little faster than the
Yeah.
enemy thinks.
Mhm. Yeah, because he's infantry. Even though he's so gigantic, staging him sometimes is just kind of hilarious. In my experience, right? Like, damn, dude.
Especially at 6
Mhm.
Mega Novas.
Yeah.
All right, Fat Man. What's up, everyone?
Whoa, Fat Man's been in the Discord a lot, chopping it up. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
good to see you.
Shout out to all the Discord chads. Well, gets.
Sandor says, kind of hope we
Sandor.
get something that can lead Flash Gits. Can only bring 1 Bad Ruck, and I don't know if they're
Okay.
worth it without the captain.
I think you need the captain to get the throttling
Yes.
right, so you can make sure you really do get that return because it is a kind of expensive package to put the mech in there in the truck. is kind of like a double positive because you're giving them the durability of being in the truck, and then you're also giving the +1 so you can get some immediately start getting some play into them and getting them into position, right? Like if those zoanthropes walk into a lane to shoot into maybe your beast boss that you presented on an objective, your flash gets can either dismount and destroy, or they could just stand in that lane and just lay down the fire. So yeah, as for what's the other leader, a mech. No, I'm just kidding. A mech is like the only thing really you could pretend is another character, right? So yeah, I agree with you. You know, put him in a stompin. No, I'm just kidding. All right. that was just me saying something random.
He also follows up with Gaz is not a monster.
Nope.
Can't shoot him while he's engaged, even though he's bigger than most monsters. LOL.
Sandor, right? Sandor's like, yes, no more 9th edition, right? I know. Dude, it was kind of funny. And then Gilliman and all them are still left over with that. So,
Yeah, right.
All right.
We're caught up.
Cool. All right.
All right, in this next round, Gene Stealer Colts.
Ooh, okay. Hard matchup here.
We got the Icon Ward, Nexus, 3 Primus, 2 Saboteurs.
Okay. Came for blood.
You got the 4, 5. Oh, let me zoom in. Sorry,
2 of them are
guys.
bigger units. What happened?
I just forgot to zoom in.
Oh, you forgot. Yeah, 2 of the bigger units, and then he went for 2 smaller units. We're trying to remember to zoom in, guys, so you guys can actually see. Sorry about that. Don't worry. We'll get better every stream, hopefully.
Yeah, more hybrids.
Damn, this dude just went straight
Hybrid.
bodies. God.
Wow. That has to be his whole almost.
I'll tell you what, them. Oh, and then no, it's not his whole thing. Yeah,
3
dude. Yeah,
units of
Tyranid, Gene
Ridge.
Stealers keep going.
Right.
But yeah, and then the Ridge Runners. Yeah, excellent. Heavy mortars. Yeah. Subbers. I mean, that's just mobility, firepower a little bit. There's just a lot of bodies, guys. You know they can bring them back, put them all over the table. I mean, Mark Perry didn't bring like any direct horde clearing. The top Coptas are just not doing it. They get no AP when they fight.
He's got the
squigs.
Def Coptas. I'm sorry.
The Record Truck Squig Buggies. I know you're looking at this and you're like, hey, these are some good matchups. Some of those targets they could, but really, I mean, you're still an orc and you're still kind of possibly not doing excellent when you're shooting into them. So the fact that you don't have the typical boys just to beat you up on, not as many, you could end up seeing that as being an issue, right? Flash gets, I could see them being helpful in this matchup, but GSE as a whole are just a problem, right? Because as you're killing them, you're losing some of your units. They're taking over the board. They're playing the mission. And Mark didn't bring like boys, which I think boys, like Beast Snaggle boys ideally, are really good at kind of clearing up some GSC. And he didn't have any of those. So I get it.
All right, in the next round, Gene Stealer Colts again.
Okay, let's see which one this. Maybe Mark learned from his lesson. Let's see what happened here.
So he's got the Biophagus, Clamavis, 3 Nexus, 3 Primus, 3 Saboteurs, 2 5-3, 3 5-man hybrids, 1 2 3 neophyte hybrids.
Okay.
Some aberrants and ridge runners.
Okay, so that's the difference. It's not as many small units all over the field. So he was still going for a lot of bodies, but as you see, he dwindled and just went for big bricks, which is like we talked about, as we've seen repetitively through some of these meta watches, is when you give us a lot of elite units or like bricks that people want to like hover around and move here to there, or can actually kind of deal with that for the most part. Because we're willing to have stuff die and hold you there and move around the table and keep playing the mission. But if you go to meet us with speed and redeployment and mobility with a bunch of small units that want to start doing that with us, we do kind of dislike that actually, right? Especially if we're lacking the trucks and the Beast Boys to jump out and punch him in the face. But how did he end up doing a little better here?
He tied.
Okay, so yeah, he did do a bit better. Almost came for the win, I'm sure. So he learned, and I think those big bricks made it a bit easier for him to deal with. He didn't have so much, because that was just so many units you've seen on that last list. My God.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine? All right. Great
last
job.
round.
Mm-hmm. Last round?
Yeah, good job. Imperial Knights.
Mm-hmm.
So he did actually drop this one.
Okay. I mean, he didn't. I'm not surprised. I mean, he had the buggies, right? Well, the list we see do good of orcs into knights are the Beast Snaggle list, ideally, right? And then sometimes the mechanized kind of list will do okay between the kill tanks and the mega knobs and the Gaz or so. But the MSU kind of running around list sometimes just get destroyed a little too much. And Mark Perry wasn't even necessarily an MSU list. He was just like I'm bringing whatever I want list. So The knight was like, sure, your buggy, pow. Your death dropped this, don't care. I can see why he dropped this. So we could just run through it and then move on.
He's got Castellan, 2 Crusaders.
Yeah.
All right, tough there.
Yeah, super tough.
And 3 Helverns.
Just enough. Just enough. That was just enough to be killing and not die. And, you know, what is he going to do when he's running all the boards? Those 3 mechs, man, I'm telling you, those custom sluggers are probably putting in work. Now I'm making that up. All right, let's move on to the last person. And then we'll talk about a GT list, guys. And then, and then we'll summarize with what we've kind of looked over and learned again. But I thought it was cool because Rick Kincaid is someone we've talked about before. So Rick Kincaid, if you're out there, it seems like we're slowly keeping an eye on you, and it's I don't care. Haha. All right, so let's go. Let's move on. It's be fun. As in, we don't care how how great you're doing and everything like that as a whole. We're just happy you're a green skin and that you're coming out here. That's what really matters, right? So keep playing them orcs. You see our numbers were down at 40K stats by like 300 players.
Yeah,
300 games. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, what did Rick Kincaid bring this time?
He's got 3 beast bosses on foot.
Okay.
Captain Badrock.
Oh, that's it.
No enhancements.
Right, neat. Just neat to the point. Okay.
And then he brought 3 Beast Snagga boys.
Okay.
4 trucks.
I'm down with that.
And then a staple of his list, and why I remembered him was
the Burner Boys.
5-man Burner Boys.
Yeah, David liked that. David was like, yes, Burner Boys have made it.
The unit of Flashkiss to be led by Captain Badrock.
4th truck.
2 units of Gretchen. And then 2 units of 3-man Squighog boys. And to round out, 3 units of Storm Boys and 2 units of War Bikers.
Okay. I think my guy here just likes running the Flamers, to be honest. I don't because is he putting like how I just want to know how is he loading these trucks? Maybe it's just matchup dependent. Because if you have 4 trucks and 4 10-man units you want to put in trucks, but then you have these 5-man units, what are you doing with them? I'm just not sure.
I think they're more of a deterrence.
No, not really sure what they're for, but hey, I just wanted to show him real quick. Let's look at his matchups quickly. Just want to show a list, guys, right? Burner Boys were talked about a lot when we came out here, and as in the orc community as a whole. We talked about Mega Knobs a lot. We talked about Burner Boys a lot. We talked about Commandos a lot. We haven't seen too many of any of those, have we? In the last couple of Wednesdays, surprisingly, to the whole community.
All right, in round 1, he actually beat Gene Stealer Colts.
Let's go. Let's see what the list was like.
He's got an Abominant, Biophagus, Nexus, 3 Primus, 1 Saboteur.
Okay, a little less.
And 4 units of Hybrid Acolyte, 5 units of Acolyte, 6.
Okay, so 3 of the big ones and then 2 of the small ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then some Neophytes, 2 big units.
Okay, he's going for fat
and
bodies.
Then 2 Aberrant units.
So this is
1 big, 1 small.
Okay, so it seems like whenever the Aberrants are kind of involved and starts taking chunks, because right there you could break that Aberrant unit into almost 3-4 different GSC units. That seems to make a difference when you're playing against orcs, at least.
Expensive.
As they are like, oh, you want to give us this big, and really Aberrants aren't super hard for us to kill. They do punch really hard, but as we're orcs, we're fine, kill us. What do I even have that's going to give you a 330 point return that you're going to punch? Probably nothing. So not saying it doesn't make the game hard, definitely does. I'm saying that's why orcs kind of get some still play what it seems to be into these. When you get into like an expensive, I want to punch you really hard Aberrants into involved in GSC list, orcs do a little better because there's just not enough units in anymore. Because like I said, orcs don't like when you have a lot of units as well as them, meeting them, engaging with them. Us as the orc community guys, we like to initiate combat. We like to control our rate of attrition. So you're pulling up the list? And yeah.
So unfortunately for Rick, he faced Jack Harpster in round 2.
Okay, that's my squishy buddy.
And
wait, why did I say that? Oops. Whatever, dude. Fight me. All right, continue.
Jack Harpster was running the Grey Knights with the Brother Captain, Grandmaster, Caldor Drago, unit of 10 Terminators.
Okay.
2 10-man blobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 10-man blob of Paladins, a Calidus Assassin, and 1 Exaction Squad. So wow, he's going very heavy into these.
Can
Terminator
I see
units.
What weapons do they have in their Terminators? Incinerators. Yeah, so they have the Flamers, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bolt.
Two-
So overall, guys, why GSC are kind of, sorry, GSC, why Grey Knights are playing this way? If you're not keeping up as a whole, I'll summarize it for you. A lot of OC, a lot of mobility because they can teleport away when you get close in the charging range. The librarians give them good mortal wound potential. Each dude is 3 OC, by the way. And the flamers, right, with how we do Overwatch and the consistently the access to armor of contempt like a normal Space Marine, is really kind of what they're going for here. They're coming towards, I'll go take this part of the board where you're weak. If you start to pressure me on this side, I'll just almost like a redeploy all the way to the side of the table. I'll activate, kill a lot of your chaff. I punch hard enough that I chip your punching hard units, and then I beat you on the objective if I am there. And then when you bring reinforcements, I run away again. So
Yeah,
I
this is
haven't
a really bad matchup with Rick's MSU stylist.
Yes, I haven't run. And like we said before, right? You're like, oh, well, if you have too much stuff, we can hold you in place. Well, if the big brick can teleport to different parts of the battlefield, and then it has flamers to clear up the chaff and the small units that orcs would have necessarily slow them down, and then charge into whatever is holding the objective, and then win out on the objective due to more OC than whatever is holding there, even if it's multiple orc units that don't die. That's why it can end up being hard into orcs, right? Even this is how this circumnavigates the typical orcs do good into big death balls. Well, if the death ball has a bunch of flamers and can fly all over the battlefield to the weak parts of your flanks when you're trying to make pushes and then charge away and teleport away from your charges, then it becomes a difficult matchup. So there we go. Rick Kincaid still did good job, buddy, for how you did out there.
And next round, he faced Blood Angels.
Okay, Blood Angels.
This is typically a good matchup for orcs here.
What's their little saying? Blood for Sanguinius or no?
Yeah.
I don't know. Never mind. That's
Something
blood. I was gonna say blood for the blood gods. See, I don't know. Whatever, dude. You guys are chaos. I'm just kidding. All right, continue. Just kidding. No.
You got the captain of the jump pack, Lamarties, the Sanguinary Priest, 2 Assault Squad jump packs, 2 10-mans, Death Company Marines,
expensive.
the jump packs, 2 Gladiator Lancers, 2 Infiltrator units, 2 Scout Sniper squads, and a Whirlwind.
And this is third matchup?
This was his 3rd matchup, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Which he won 12
Oh, he won this one?
8.
Yeah. I was like, dude, this looks like it could be a little difficult. Let's look at it. And then, okay. Yeah, he has the Whirlwind on there, a little jerk. Sorry. And the Whirlwind.
Still running
Divas,
after
okay.
the nerf.
The Scout Sentinels. Scout Sentinels, Star Snipers. Okay. I can see this, right? This player was going, I'm going to hold my backline with reliable backline units. The infiltrators are help, obviously, with your screening. A couple gunline units. As we said before with orcs, you can be a melee army. You still want some shooting. And he decided gladiators are worth that shooting. There he goes. A lot of jump packs. As he's a Blood Angel player, obviously, he's going to bring a lot of jump packs. So the big bricks here, I know as a whole when I play Blood Angels before, and now that we have Fight and Death, you look at them and you go, hey, I can at least fight in death with you. And they're kind of soft, like Space Marines as a whole are kind of soft to orcs. So yeah, he did a great job. I'm sure it was still a difficult game because them being fast and their great reliable punching is going to be an issue with a decent reliable gun line back there. So great job to you, Rick. If you ever see these videos for some random reason, give us a shout out, and we can actually know your points of why you chose some of these things you did. What was the next matchup?
All right, and another close game.
Ooh,
Thousand Suns.
Magnus is love. Magnus is life. Okay. Magnus got crumped. And I'm just kidding. What did he win? Hold on before I said that.
Yeah, they lost.
Oh.
Rick lost.
Oh, Rick
It
lost.
was a close game though.
Whatever, then.
9-11.
Whatever. He got crumped anyways for me. All right, whatever.
Had Armin, Infernal Master, Magnus.
Okay.
A few sorcerers. Rubrics, most likely all with flamers.
Yep.
Is looking like it.
Okay. The Vortex Bees creeping in there. Are these all
Bees.
running the same? Are they all in the same
Yes.
Discord running the same list? I think that's what's going on, right?
Thousand Suns don't have a large range to choose from already, so
I mean,
you're gonna see it
yeah,
no matter what.
they
the meta
literally
is.
were like, "This is the best list. Boom, run this." I haven't even seen like a second Vortex Beast on accident. They just ran almost the same things. Let's see. They got flamers in the end or the cultists. Let's see.
No, they got cultists and Zingor line.
And no flamers.
No flamers. It's
Okay.
either you run Zingor line or flamers.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Depending on
there you go,
access to
that's the
them,
difference.
That's gonna determine
okay. Well,
what you run.
I'm gonna go in there and say this is the best list now for chaos. No, I'm just kidding. So, but what was the score ratio here?
It was He lost 11-9.
Okay. I would have liked to see the mission. I'm sure he could have pulled it out with some decision making, guys. That's always a factor, right? T-Sons are still an excellent army. We're just giving here context, guys, right? I'm not ever going to tell you how someone is amazing or horrible. That's up for you to decide. What was that? What did you just look at?
And he stomped this list.
He stomped
20
Be'lakor.
points.
Be'lakor to don't shoot me, lore. All right,
And
yeah.
that's something consistent that orcs have been showing out against demons.
Against Be'lakor specifically. You put Be'lakor across the different orcs.
Well, almost every
orcs are
list
kind of
has
like,
Be'lakor.
ha, 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 you know? So, yeah.
So it's Be'lakor, Bloodthirster, Fluxmaster, Kiros Fate Weaver, which is the Lord of Change, Shalaxi Hellbane, which is the Keeper of Secrets name character.
Okay.
2 units of Nurglings, a unit of horror, pink horrors,
Blood Crushers for the mortals.
Blood Crushers, and then 3
Oh, 2.
6-man or
Two,
2 6-man
yeah.
flamers.
Ugh, that's not a lot of units.
No.
Not super durable units for the ones that are there, and even for the big ones, when you throttle and you hit them with the right stuff, they kind of fall apart.
Yes.
And they're not that fast. I mean, the whole point of demons right now, guys, is don't shoot me, and orcs are like, I didn't care to anyways, you know. And if they did, you got to get within range, right? You can get within range.
Yeah, so that's why Be'lakor is going to be on most demon lists because he has the shadow ability where you can't aim at anything within 6 inches, I believe, of him.
Oh,
Any
okay,
demon
okay.
within 6 inches of him that's further than 18 inches of your units.
And then you know what you do? You take flash gets, you drive run in there, you dismount, you just lay it on somebody. That's why you're like, what? I didn't even know there was a bubble. What? Like the orcs all confused. So just haha. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, demon player.
Flash gets shine so much in that situation. There are no shadows.
Haha, demon players. Sorry, guys. He owns a really beautiful Be'lakor, so I'm just poking fun at him. Obviously, I don't ever want someone to have a bad time.
Yeah,
what was the last matchup?
Last matchup, another close game.
Mhm.
He dropped it to Gene Stealers, 11-9.
Oh, not the GSC. You know, guys, I have no games into GSC. I'll just be upfront and say that now. I've never even met a GSC player besides the local Games Workshop manager that I know. And he's not even a player. He owns GSC. So this doesn't even count. All right.
So Biophagus, 2 Clamavis, Jackal Alphas, Nexus, 3 Primus. And, you know, we're going to see hybrids and Accolade neophytes here.
Yeah, I think we can button that up. Right now, I think we should
Aberrant
and
from
Aberrant.
Virgin.
So the same. Okay, so he ended up still dropping this. Was it close or did he just straight lose it?
Yes, it was 11-9.
Pure strains. Oh, those guys can do some work. So let's look at let's see. That was it for everybody. Shout out to Rick and K. Just want to give some context. So keep in mind what we looked over with these orc lists, what's being consistent, right? That being said, one more list I wanted to look at just quickly. I wanted to give a GT a look because I want to compare that to the best performing GT list that I've seen. And that is Blake Jones from Warhammer. Yeah, it's a singles GT. Warhammer. I'm not sure if this is Warhammer from the channel Warhammer. I think that's an actual channel. I don't know if it is, then shout out Blake. But yeah, he did pretty good at his event. He went, what was it, 3-2? What was it? Sorry, I'm off the top of my head.
He went wrong.
He went
Blake Jones.
He got 24
2
out of 60, and he went 3-2. So I thought he did pretty good, right? Doesn't always got to do the best, guys. We're just looking at what's the meta consistent, where orcs playing. He was the highest placed orc player on the GT, so I wanted to pull him up. Want to give him some love. And I wanted to compare what have we been seeing consistently, and what, because some people are wonder are teamed lists just for teams. Generally speaking, to other factions as a whole. For other factions, you can skew super hard and end up doing that. From all the orc lists we've seen, David, who really skewed, other than Mark Perry being funny, who really skewed very much of their list? No one really skewed into like I need to bring all of these nonstop, right?
Yeah, I think that takes away from the orc strength.
Yeah, the orc strengths are I want to play the mission, I want to take over the board, and then if you can do it, you can. If you can't, you can't. And I think that just goes good for orcs to know. So when we looked at these team events, that's why I thought it did matter, because I was actually trying to show you a pattern, right? Pattern recognition is one of the great strengths of humanity. And even though we're not humans, we're greenskins, we can still have enough pattern recognition thanks to Mork. So, be kunnin and bro. So that's why we're looking at the team events, guys, because I think it still, if anything, it almost reinforced our thought patterns, guys. We've been thinking you need DACA. We've been thinking you need the trunks in the secondary game. You need the storm boys. If not, you need the bikers, and all these things that we're talking about. And they're all coming together. And you might keep getting a slightly different data sheets here and there, But as a whole, these are the consistency that's been showing in our lists. You're going to go for lethals where you can. You're going to go for beast bosses and stuff. Oh, and actually, David already brought the list. So we David go through and read it real quick.
2 beast boss on foot, Captain Badrock, a knob on Smasher Squig with Head Wappa's Kill Chopper. A weird boy.
Yeah.
With super cyborg body.
Okay. He's like, I don't want to kill myself, I guess, maybe. Like, kill everybody.
And then he's bringing 2 units of Beast Snagger boys.
Okay. And then
1 unit of boys.
One of them boys.
And 4 trucks. Got the Flash Kits.
Okay.
2 units of Gretchen. A unit of Garrote tanks.
Yeah.
It's different.
Okay, let's go. He was like, I don't care about being the best. I just want to bring the Garrote tanks and the mech guns. Which one are they? Custom Mega Blasters?
Yeah,
that's what I've been, you know, my preference as well is custom Mega Blasters. Excuse me? Okay, cannon. Sorry, I said blasters. Custom Mega Cannon. That's my preference as well, right? The high strength, the more shots, even though it is D6, you hypothetically get more shots. I know it's hazardous. Still my favorite. And then 3x3 Squig Hog Boys. Obviously, I like them like that too. They could just skirmish, go on an objective, throw away, whatever. Then you got the Storm Boys, always good. And then you brought Boar Bikers because he had 10 points left over and couldn't bring 2 Storm Boy units. And I was kidding. What was the enhancement I wanted to look at again? We had Edwapa, Kill Choppa. We had the Feel No Pain. And then what was there the last one put in there at all? Did I see? I don't think so because we had Flash because we kept around. How many trucks? 4. As we've seen, right, guys, between the teams, between the singles, and the last 2 tournaments, the amount of trucks has actually gone down from 6 to somewhere between 3 and 4. Right, David? Have we been seeing that? Yeah. Trucks are still excellent. It's more that people are looking to bring more of other things. What are these other things? Shooting units, whether it be a Rucker Truck Squig Buggy, whether it be Flash Gits, whether it be maybe a baby bit of Lutits, or they bring more Beast Boss on foot or Beast Bosses on Squigosaurs, right? That's what we've been kind of seeing here. And maybe do we want to look at his list at all? The matchups a tiny bit?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, in the first round, he faced Adeptus Custodes. This guy's running a Blade Champion, Shield Captain, Trajan Valoris, 1 5-man Custodian Guard, 1 9-man unit of 2 units of Prosecutors.
Okay. Alaris.
The Alaris Custodians, 2. And then 2 grab tanks.
Those grab tanks are just good, from what I understand and everything. Good, reliable gun platforms. It's not the most meta Custode list as we've seen out here. He didn't overly spam the Guardians, which is cool. The guy was probably like, I'm not doing that. I'm not bringing 30. But he did bring Wardens instead. Plugged in a couple Terminators as he could. Called it a day. Still a very good list as Blake ended up dropping the game. But it's okay. We're just trying to go some context right here, guys. Yeah, we're just trying to show context. And we showed already, Orcs are like a 29% win rate against Custodes as a whole.
The next round against Aldari.
Okay. Oof.
So you got the Farseer, Skyrunner, Spirit Seer, Guardian Defenders, 10-man, 5-man Fire Dragons.
Okay, this looks like a melee unit that I'm not familiar with.
I'm not too familiar with another. 2 Fire Prisms.
A Wraith Fighter.
Hemlock Wraith Fighter.
Is that a plane?
Warp. 2 units of Warp. Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay.
2 units of Warp Spiders. Wind Rider. 6-man Wind Rider.
Yeah. No.
Or do they get 2 each and it's a 3-man?
Okay. Yeah, I think he just forgot that.
Wraith 10-man Wraith Guard and a Wraith Knight.
Okay. So he tried to bring some meta, but then he also kind of dropped. I know the Wraith Guard unit is actually pretty good. But that other stuff I was seeing in there, we haven't really seen throughout them as a whole. Seems like he's toward a little bit way of the path of the Uncarn, or no, whatever they say, whatever them whatever dude. Whatever them scrawnies got crumped because he ended up losing 91 to whatever. He ended up getting 91 points on that one. So great job to him. And it looks like it was a little bit out of the meta Aldari list. Still had a couple of the strengths of Eldar, but he didn't overly tack into what their strengths were. Therefore, Blake ran him over. Great job, Blake. Because remember, the list that he's running is similar to a lot of other lists that people have been running, guys. Whether You might drop a beast boss here and there and then add a beast boss on foot to your beast snagga boys, but regardless, you're going for dev wounds and a beast pop type character. So these all fall under the same category of the beast snagga archetype.
All right, the next round, he faced Tau. And we don't care about Tau on this channel, so we won't.
Yeah, good. Oh, dang, I got excited. I was like, yeah, David.
Let's just run through it real quick.
Fish.
Commander,
fishy
Shadow
gets.
Sun, Farsight team, some battles, 2-3 units of battle suits, Crew Hounds, Ghost Skills, and Tawanar. So these guys have just
Okay, these guys just having fun, which is
Tawanar.
why we say we don't care about talent. No, I'm just kidding. You know, guys, remember, we're having fun out here, all right? If you want some serious stuff, you know, we can, I don't know, go talk to Ospec's Tactics.
Well, hypothetically, the Taunars.
No, I'm just kidding. I love that guy. All right.
All right, this was a tough matchup for him. 'cause
Okay.
He only scored 34 against Aldari.
Don't blame him, don't blame
More
him.
traditional list.
Mm-hmm.
Way Leaper, Farseer, 2 Spirit Seers, Warlock,
No Yunkarn.
Guardian,
No Yunkarn.
3 Fire
The
Prisms.
Guardians give him more faith
3
dice.
Hornets,
Okay.
2 support weapons, and 2 Wraith Guard units.
Oh, okay. Still brought the double Wraith Guard. And actually, wasn't this before? We already talked about at the beginning of the video. The changes were up to the 15th. And the changes for them.
This is the GTA.
Did they get any?
Is this also
Oh, yeah, they
GTA?
did.
This is
Actually, you're
GTA.
right. Thanks for bringing that up. I don't know if the GTA did that or not, so I can't say. Either way, they're still tough. But did they
Yes.
squash them or did they just run? They kind of just squashed
He
them.
got 34 points.
Okay.
So-
Okay. Well, it was. We don't know the tournament. We don't know how the
It's the-
event, the terrain looked. So
And
we
it's
know
one
that
of-
they're a tough matchup as a whole.
It's at the higher tables too by this time.
Okay. So it's probably an excellent player as well.
And in last round, he faced Thousand Suns.
Oh, and is this going to be exactly the same as all the other lists? Let's find out in the next episode of T-Sun Math.
Well, here's an original pick.
What?
Armin on disc.
On disc. All right. Let's see.
Magnus, 2 sorcerers.
Is there some T-Sun player out there punching the air at us right now? Just like, shut up, you greenskins. No, I was gonna...
Warp Flamers on the rubrics. Thousand
Oh,
Suns
he brought a rhino. Let's go. He regretted that. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I bet he wish he had more rubric
He
flamers.
already had more Terminators because he only has 5 right there.
Oh,
Oh, he has
yeah.
another 5
No,
man.
he's
Oh,
got
he
2
wished we put them
5-mans.
together. Oh, he brought a
Oh,
Land
he
Raider
got the
too. You know
Land
what?
Raider.
Shout out to that guy. He had fun. I don't care.
All right.
Great
Cool.
job to you. And Blake got a win, 95
Yeah,
points.
Blake won this one.
Let's go. Blake did excellent. He took advantage. He was like, really? All right, man. Sure. So yeah. So guys, that's a quick overview on those. Let's take a moment right here to look at some consistencies, David, if you want to bring up maybe 2 of the most obvious. So you can open Blake's list, I would like to say, and then Johnny Grifflin's first list. Probably those are going to be the first 2 of the first ones I would like to speak about.
This is one you want to speak about?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, the other list. Sorry. Sorry, I meant Brad Chester. Sorry. This was the
That's what I
old
had
kind of,
pulled.
this is the list I wasn't as a fan of. Sorry, guys. Oh, Brad Chester. I'll talk about Brad Chester's list anyways, hopefully. My bad. I was holding to bring Brad Chester's list up, guys, and then I misspoke. So what I want to do here, guys, is speak of some of the consistencies, right? Something we've been seeing throughout, looking from all the other Meta Wednesdays, from the team events to other how GTs performed. What data sheets and units are coming up over and over again? What are some that have fallen to the wayside, especially based on when people were talking about like tier ranking lists, right? Or units they were talking about when they were reviewing the index, what they thought they'd see a lot of compared to what we're actually seeing. Because I think we're how many weeks out now that we've gathered enough information and data to see that things didn't pan out exactly how people suspected for the orc index. Is there any chats though before I start
Yes.
ranting and
We
ranting?
got some few chats we can hit real quick.
Okay.
And Kim Boulain, sorry I messed up your last name. I went 3, 1, and 2 at Capital Clash GT.
Oh,
Nice.
excellent. Excellent job, dude. That's
didn't see that
fantastic. I
one.
didn't see that. What happened there? What I guess I was gonna ask him
We're gonna
his
pull it
name,
up
date,
real
and
quick
location, but
while
never
you're
mind.
wrapping up.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
possibly give that a peep at the end, my friend. Thanks for that. Good job. Great job.
Talk
Oh yeah,
Emo
join.
to Me
Hold on.
podcast.
If you're not in the Discord, you can join in Discord. And I like for the community to tell me if they ever go to Discord or GT or anything like that. I actually like for the community to let me know, and then we can review it. And sometimes we'll talk about it once in a while. Obviously, we won't go super in depth, but you can actually give us a little bit of pictures maybe, and then we'll shout it out, especially if you do great, right? So yeah, or just give us all feedback because we like to hear the talk from everybody, man. So hopefully I get to see you in Discord. What? Am I ranting? Yes.
Talk emo to me podcast. Wraithguard are not good. Referring to the last list.
Yeah, I'm aware. I mean, they're not bad. No, they're not bad. I mean, I know that they got FAQ'd a little bit, and yeah, they're not terrible, but I get what you're saying. Like we said, I try to stay away from like this is what's absolutely great and such, but yeah, they're not. I know what you mean by they're not like amazing. Yet
I'll go back.
they did good. So what are some things, guys? I'm going to read through a couple of units that I know that caught me a little bit off guard, right? Captain Badrock and his entourage of flash kits were highly spoken about. And then maybe a couple weeks into people playing, I know like shout out to Adrian from Tabletop Titans. I know he was like, no, they sold me a dream when he tried to run them. I know some people online were kind of discussing back and forth. Do they matter? They don't hit good enough. So something that's come up in the last 3 weeks alone are flash kits in Captain Badrock. Adding shooting alone to Orc list has come up. Adding the mech, one mech on the list, is also what's coming up alongside that package of the Captain Badrock and the flash kits. So it's not even just delivering them for the one throttle. People think it's worth the extra investment of putting the truck and the mech in there for the tag along. So that's just almost like a tried and true combo at this point. I'm kind of willing to accept it as it's been along 3 weeks and it's gone to the team event and GT level. We've been seeing that, right? Another thing is a lot of people are still sticking to the Beast Boss on foot, as well as the Beast Boss on Squigosaur and Mazrog. That almost like trio or quadro, whatever you want to call it, because some people will add more Beast Bosses on Squigosaur, matters a lot, right? And then the final one that I'm into personally is the Nabon Smasher Squig. People were uncertain, including me, myself, on the Nabon Smasher Squig. When you give him Head Wappa's Kill Choppa, you find the most value in him. But if you're not willing to give him that enhancement, maybe you don't want him. And as for another boy that everybody slept on, is the last leader on the another list that I want to talk about. Is this a different person's list? Oh yeah, this is the GT list. Yeah. Is the Weird Boy. He's also getting a shout out as to most tier lists didn't have him almost relevant at all. And Weird Boy making his comeback from 8th edition to now and 9th edition to I'm going to help you play the secondary game. So those were the HQs that are just kind of sneaking up into the meta, guys, that we're seeing. Some of them, you've seen them coming. Maz, Beast Boss and Squigosaur, you've seen them coming. Maybe not the Nalbon Smash Squig Red Wappa Skill Choppa. A lot of people like to put that on their Beast Boss and Squigosaur. And then sometimes people will drop the Beast Boss. And you know who we did see, sadly, a little dropped? Just this week, was the Scalpel unit of the Knobs, right? But like we said, that was for team events. Could have played a factor into that. Whatever. But I still like that unit a lot. Now, as for the data sheets that people kind of slept on, as we've been seeing over the weeks, that I wanted to point out are boys, right? Boys were just, no one was giving boys love, right, David? They were just straight up Beast Negro boys. Why would I ever bring boys? Why would I ever bring boys? When you just need the points, the boys do serve their factor. When you do want the OC and during the wild, they are hard to displace, right? So the boys are finding their way into the meta in a way that other people didn't expect them to, and the buggies are, because it's not just this indirect squig buggy. People are using the Shock Jump Dragsta, getting them in there to start doing the secondary scoring.
No, I'm just
okay. And then, and the last thing I wanted to say, guys, is some units that I'm not seeing around as, even though when the tier lists and reviews and what people were talking about as a whole, they like to see, are Burner Boys. Burner Boys, Mega Knobs, Commandos, as I'm still seeing them, but they're slowly trickling away in their prevalence, right? And Snake Rot. Snake Rod is not making it in with the Commandos as a whole on average. People are running them, and they are sending success. I'm not telling you don't do it. I'm telling you what we're seeing is what the meta and what people are calling as the most prevalent. Commandos on their own happen to be more common than him with the Snake Rot. So yeah, I just want to say that is you can still run them. Like I said, don't ever take anything I'm saying as you can't do this, run all this, run only the Beast Naga list. There's archetypes to how orcs are being played right now. Okay. And the Beast Naga archetype is finding its way to the top as it directly plays into some of the hard toughness matchups that orcs have, is in like just high toughness everywhere. And they can deal with gunline armies because they have the durability with that. So the Beast Naga archetype is what seems to be kind of pushing the MSU truck spam down a little bit. It's not that the MSU truck spam isn't excellent. It's that there are direct armies that are just like, sure, dude, I'll just kill all that. I'll just kill it. And you can't kill me. You don't have enough punch to kill me. So you're not going to deter me from reliably killing you enough and controlling your rate of attrition. So that's something that I wanted to say that we've been looking out to is keep in mind, beast naggers are rising to the top. MSU truck spam slowly falling a little bit of away. I think people are kind of expecting that from orcs when they see orcs on the battlefield. They're like, I kind of know what you're going to do here now. And I know maybe after a couple matchups, they're like, oh, I just need this much to kill you. Orcs die a little easier than I expected. Or after the wall, orcs die when expected. When someone plays you often enough, you'll start realizing they notice that too about you. So yeah, I thought those were important facts to bring up, guys, as everybody had their theories going into this index. But as the meta talks and as the wall and the green tide rises, we've seen that some of the assumptions have fallen to the wayside. And the DACA has risen along with the crumpin. So mixing that DACA, mixing that mobility, always play the mission, always control that rate of attrition. Right? Any more chats before we crump on them gits?
Yeah, we got a new git in here.
Got you.
Chupac 13.
Yeah.
I love weird boy.
Yeah. Love the weird boy, the odd boy. Yeah, everybody's like, yes, I get to use my weird boy now. I know how to do too. All right. So that's it. Is that where we're at? All right, guys. So like always, give us any feedback. This is an open discussion. I'm not preaching to you. I'm reporting to you, giving you the whole insight. All our energy is conglomerating together, and then we're exploding into the meta between our squigs and our mech WAAAGH and our MSU truck spams. All right. So don't hold back. Give me feedback. Give me criticism, whatever you want. I'm ready for it. You can't hurt me because I'm thick as squig hard. And that's it. All right. Just one thing to keep in mind. Don't cross a wall because we knock your teeth out. Whoa!